I noticed Mike didn't raise his hand, so I don't know what that means. How many people? Okay, 9 o'clock service, we must have had a dozen people. How many people have watched golf on TV? How many people know who Tiger Woods is? Good. All right, we're getting there. How many people know what a fairway is? Uh-oh, I better explain that, okay? A fairway is something I very seldom frequent. Sometimes is thick and nice from the standpoint the ball lays nicely, and you want to hit it out somewhere, if I'm playing in a range of 170 to if Fred or Ed is hitting the ball, or Mike, to 250, okay, yards. And you want to be in the right or left of the fairway or middle of the fairway, but you don't want to be in what they call the rough. Now, in Virginia, a lot of courses have trees that line the fairways, okay? And they're kind of mean, in a sense. And one of the things that reminds me of it, I was playing with Ed a while back, and we were on, I think it was the 10th hole at Belmont, and that 10th hole runs straight out, but over to the right are a group of trees, and then beyond those trees are houses. And it was the 10th hole, so Ed tees up, and he hits the ball, and it curves over as a slice. The slice is going to the right. He curves over, and it goes through an open window in this house. And so nobody came out, nobody said anything. So Ed teed up and hit another ball to the left side, where there were no houses. And he continued to play, and everything was fine, and we got to the 18th hole. And a policeman shows up. He said, "Did you hit that ball through the open window on the 10th hole?" Ed said, "Yes, sir. Is there a problem?" "A problem," he said. "Let me tell you what happened. You scared the dog. The dog ran out of the house, ran into traffic. A car swerved and missed the dog, had an accident, and 3 people ended up in the hospital because of that shot." Ed said, "Oh, God, what can I do?" And the policeman said, "Well, get your stance parallel with the hole, keep your head down, and extend your swing." And Ed said, "Thank you very much," and it helped his game after that, okay? That didn't happen. But anyway, so one of the things I wanted to do today is just share with you the idea of a metaphor of how golf, and I'll be doing it for the next couple of weeks, how golf can be a metaphor to life. And it really is in many ways. But one of the things that's important, kind of like in life, you have to prepare to play the game. So you have to have the right hat. And you need golf balls. And if you play the way I do, you need several packs of golf balls, okay? And they're not cheap anymore, unless you play Ed's golf balls, because he got them all from somebody else. Anyway, and then we have this thing that we use on the greens that fixes the green so that when you hit the ball on the green, now I don't have to use this very often, it makes a little plug in the green, so you have to repair that. So it repairs the green. That's very important. And then the other thing that you have to have is a tee. Now the tee is very important because it has to be the same color as your pants. If it's not, it messes up your focus. And so it's really important to prepare yourself for this game called golf. And there are some sayings that I'd just like to share with you about other people. And these come from the Gospel according to St. Titulus. What we're talking about today is to let the driver lead the way. Now, a driver normally is the longest club and the biggest club in your bag. And the driver is really the club that many average golfers will not use. That's true. But pros always use it to some degree, meaning most of the holes they hit. And what you want to do as a driver is you want to connect with the ball in such a way that it doesn't go straight, but it draws a little bit. Now, what that will hit the fairway on a round of golf about 12 to 14 times. Now, these are guys who can really hit the ball and hit it straight, hit it wherever they want it to go. But they missed the fairway out of 18 holes at least 4 times. So it's a pretty challenging game. And, you know, I forget what the fairway is sometimes when I play golf. I'm still looking for it. And so it's the largest club in the bag. And what I want to do today is just see how golf is a metaphor and how the driver is a metaphor for the driver in our lives. And as we look at it, the next thing I want to do is just bring up a quote saying, letting the driver lead the way. Of a New Thought student is how well they recover from their mistakes. That's true of all of us. We all make mistakes. Now, a mistake might be error thought. Thinking's not quite right. A mistake might be something you do. It might be something you say to somebody in the wrong way. It may be something you do at work when you're having a bad day. A mistake is acting out of the context of who you really are and letting your ego, in essence, be in charge. And so when we allow our ego to be in charge, we are usually making lots of mistakes. And so what we have to do is when that happens is pay attention to it and allow ourselves to not let the last mistake create the path for the rest of our lives. That what we do is we allow the last mistake to be a lesson to help us get on track for the rest of our lives. And so making a mistake is one of the things that happens, and in golf it happens very frequently. They say, the professional golfers say that when they look at their game, a round of golf, they may shoot a 70, which is pretty good, okay, or 68, which is really great in golf. And what's happened is that they think they've only hit 4 shots exactly like they wanted to hit them. Now, they don't allow the others to control and make them think they are failures on the course because they're willing to walk away from that last shot and not allow it to determine the next shot. And we who are amateurs, and the more amateur you become, the more difficult that is for some of us. Until you get to such an age, you forgot the last shot. You don't know what happened, okay? So anyway, and so we have this idea that we walk away from our mistakes. The next thing that we look at is that we can choose to react or respond. It's over with. You've done it. And if it goes in a sand trap, it goes to the left, it goes to the right, it misses a green, it misses a fairway, doesn't make any difference. It's over with. So the idea is to not let that last shot determine the next shot. Don't we do that sometimes in life? We allow what happened to us last week, last month, last year, when we were children, to control our lives, to make us, help us, that we end up deciding that what happened in the past we want to carry with us, and it determines the path we're going to walk in the future, how we're going to think and how we're going to be. What we teach in Unity is an opportunity to change that, to stop that, to see life in a way that what's happened in the past, again, is just a mistake. It does not define who you are and what you are. And so we can step into life in a different way and understand more clearly that what people thought I was, even what I thought I was when I was 15 or 20 or 30, isn't important. It's what I think I am today that becomes important. And when I'm willing to step into that and honor that, that's when I can change my life. And change my life because I am able then to hit the ball straighter, to hit more fairways, and to be in tune with the divine driver within ourselves. The next one is that we focus on the force. In a playoff with about a 14-foot putt that by every odds should never have gone in. And it was fantastic. But the one thing I noticed about him, of course, the first time I'd seen him in person, the one thing I noticed about him was he was focused all the time. He was one of the rare golfers who can stay focused when he was young all the way through 18 holes. He didn't smile, he didn't break his focus, he was like in a trance. That's unusual. Today, what they teach, and they teach pros, and you'll see it, is they teach them to relax between shots. Be focused during the shot, but relax between shots. Sometimes when we're in life, we have to focus on a given situation. We have to stay clear. We have to stay on track. But you know, once we've done that and we're on track, we can relax a little bit. We can enjoy what we are accomplishing. We can feel the love coming from our friends and our neighbors. We can feel the love coming from the universe. And we can step into that love and enjoy life even more. Not because we are focused, but because we've been focused. Because we've done the work we're supposed to do in order to get there. And so we want to stay focused. We want to stay focused when we play the game of golf, and we certainly want to stay focused when we play the game of life. Now, the next one up here, if I can find it, there it is staying spiritually focused. Golf Digest said, we've all heard of staying in the moment, which I just read a minute ago, and focusing on now. This means focusing on one hole and one shot at a time. It means being mentally in tune with the now moment. You and I, in order to manifest the good for ourselves, in order to be prosperous, and that doesn't mean have money, in order to heal through holistic understanding of what God is and how that works within you, in order to be at peace, all of those things are important so that we can be spiritually focused. Those are actually the benefits of being spiritually focused. And the way to do that, I believe, and I've talked about this over and over again, and I'll talk about it again because I think it's a very elementary part of who and what we are, and it's the most difficult part. And that is to meditate, to spend time every day in some form of prayer or meditation. There are two ways to do it generally. One, which is what a lot of people are doing, is what we call mindful meditation. You just go into meditation. You stay quiet. You allow yourself to go deeper. You become comfortable. And sometimes you actually can get to the point where you just feel at one with everything and everyone about you. Now, that doesn't happen often, but it happens once in a while. And when once that happens, then you know that you are truly one with the universe. And so we go into meditation to be quiet, calm ourselves, and just be into a nothingness that is everything. The second way that we can use prayer and meditation is that we can affirmation. And I let that affirmation kind of settle within me, and I continue to hold that in the light during my time of meditation. I call that prayer more than meditation, just for the sake of difference. But it is an important part because it's through that process that I can set the intention of how I want to show up and what I want to bring into my life. So it's so important to be spiritually focused as we move along in life. And so I have for you 6 thoughts or 6 tips for maintaining spiritual focus. Number 1, prepare. How are you going to show up in all that you do? And then make it even more personal and more direct by taking the time to say, okay, I am going to actually sit here and imagine and set my intentions of what my day is going to be like. What I want to accomplish, what I want to do, how I want to show up in a given situation. And when we do that, what happens more often than not is if we get out of alignment with that thought, we know it in the moment and we can adjust right then. And so we stay really focused, if you would, by visualizing what lies ahead. It's not living in the future, it's just visualizing where you want to go in the now moment. Then you need to commit to your vision. Lives, literally, because it's being directed by the driver or by spirit within you. And then the last thing, not the last thing, but see yourself learning, not failing. I've done correct is what I want to focus on, not what I've done incorrectly, not the mistakes I have made. And that's growing. That's stepping into the understanding of who and what we are. And then trust your higher self. Trust your higher self. If you instruction, by the way. Not just slashing at it, okay? You can't stand like this and hit the ball like that, okay? I've done it, but you're not supposed to. Anyway, what you want to do is take proper instructions so that you can hit the ball properly. You need to do the same thing if you want to stay in alignment, if you want to use that driver within you to align and direct you in the right and perfect way. And so as we look at life, we understand that the game of golf, for me, is much like the game of life. I started playing golf when I was 11 years old, just a little bit. I was a caddy at James River Country Club in Newport News. I lived just a few blocks away from it, was not a member, and what they allowed caddies to do on Mondays is one of the pros would come out and they would teach us the game of golf. And so when I was about 15 or 16 years old, I was able and allowed to play on Mondays golf there at that particular site. And it was a thrill of my life. One of the things that happened for me was kind of fortunate is that I caddied for a group of guys who were doctors. So I'd meet them on Saturday morning and I would caddy with them. I'd meet them on Sunday afternoon, I'd caddy with them. Sometimes Sunday morning, don't tell my minister. And then I would caddy with them every Wednesday. Doctors used to be off on Wednesdays. So I'd caddy with them every Wednesday. Not one of them that I remember ever broke 100 strokes. That's not good, by the way, okay? I still do that once in a while, very once in a while. But not one of them in the 3 years I caddied for them ever broke 100. And one day, one of them asked me why I thought that was true. And I'd been taking lessons, and I was starting to play golf, and I was playing pretty well. And so I said, can I demonstrate? And to my good fortune, I parred the hole. And they said, how did you do that? I said, I don't know. But if you get your stance straight, back to where we started, okay? If you'll hold your grip properly, and if you will swing slowly and then activate your speed as you come through, what will happen is you'll hit the ball straighter and further. So the next hole, guy got up who was a doctor, and he hit it into the woods. And it took us a half an hour to find it, it felt like. So it's a long process, and for us spiritually, it's not always an overnight process. Don't expect that. If you're new here at Unity, don't expect yourself to take care of it and get it all right the first time, all right out of the box. It takes time. There are people sitting in this room been coming here for 20 years or more, 30 years or more, and still feeling like there's some growth, still feeling like there's some hope in the way in which they live their lives to be a little bit better, and most of them are doing extremely well. But just remember that we need to stay spiritually focused, and if we do so, then some wonderful things can come from that. Tiger Woods is a person who's used meditation for many years. I can be better tomorrow than I am today. And all of us can do that. And I don't mean better in the way of be gooder or be more perfect or anything like that or following the 10 Commandments. That's not what I'm talking about. I can be better because I'm more in control with my life and with what I'm going. There was a story about a golfer, two golfers, and they went out to golf at a country club in New York. And when they were out there, the golfer, a younger one, was, not quite as good a golfer, was a little impatient, but they both had caddies. And so the younger golfer, about the second hole, hit the ball deep in the woods. And he turned to his caddy and said, where'd he go? The caddy said, we'll go find it. I don't know. He said, we'll just have to look for it. And so they went out and they couldn't find the ball. So that golfer blamed it on the caddy. Then the next hole, he missed a putt. Guess who he blamed it on? The caddy. The next time he found himself in a sand trap, and he said it's because the caddy gave him the wrong club for the distance. By the ninth hole, both the caddy and the golfer were totally frustrated with one another. So the golfer says, I'll carry my own bags, you leave. And they continue around, and the older fellow who'd been around quite a bit said, I want to tell you a story. He said there was a golfer named William here, and William was a young boy who had a club foot, but he was a very good caddy. He was intuitive, he could help people, and people loved him, and they really fought to have him as their caddy. And there was this doctor that used to play, and William would caddy for him. And then one summer, the doctor took William away for 2 months, and he operated on his club foot so that he had 2 balanced feet. He did it as a gesture. He paid for it himself, the doctor did. And he came back and he continued to caddy. And the young guy said, wow, I wish I'd have had a caddy like that. That would have been great. And the older golfer said, that was William. He calls himself Bill now, but that was William who was caddying for you. That's who I'm talking about. So, sometimes we have the answer right in front of us, and we're not willing to see it because we're so busy looking at the other person as the challenge. So let's learn to forgive. Let's learn to know that tomorrow is a better day than today. Always, no matter what's happening, because we're in better control, we're in alignment, and we're driving the ball perfectly. Thank you.